Kia ora tatou. Thanks, Penny. Despite all the different hats, this is a personal view. Okay, don't blame anyone else. Okay, so I can't do it in 3 or 4 minutes, but I've got 5. Here we go. The importance of Auckland. Auckland is a third of New Zealand's population. It's more than a third of New Zealand's economy. Even as a New Zealander, I know that Auckland has to succeed. Not only that, we know from a large body of work now internationally and in New Zealand from my colleagues at Motu that large cities are vital for productivity. The work that we've done shows that Auckland is much more highly productive than other areas in New Zealand. That's both Auckland City, the central part, but Auckland region as a whole. Auckland region, even after accounting for different industries in the different regions, Auckland is more productive than anywhere else in New Zealand. And that is the same result that you see for Australia or for the UK or for the US or something. Large cities are where the productivity is centred. In New Zealand, Auckland is the only city of moderate size or above in which the share of employment in high-tech services and financial services has been growing over the last 15 years. In all the other cities, Wellington, Christchurch, Dunedin, Hamilton, etc., the share of people working in those high-tech financial services where the high incomes are has been shrinking. Why has it been shrinking? Because they've been coming here, because they want to be where the most productive city is. But there are a lot of growth issues for Auckland. Auckland's obviously got infrastructure issues, we'll hear about those. It's got a lot of social issues, we've just heard about those, and they really relate back to the educational long tail of achievement that Auckland has. There are problems with house availability and house prices, commercial land availability and planning problems, planning availability. These suggest that when you think about the economy, all these other issues have to be brought in to work out how we can make this economy work better. But I've got a question. Which is New Zealand's most important city? I think there's 4 candidates. One is Auckland. The other 3 are Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. And the reason I say that is because when you want to set up a head office, or you're thinking of moving your high-tech firm or wherever else, and you're already based in New Zealand, you might be based in Auckland now, you might be based in Christchurch, Hamilton, anywhere else. That's your 4 choices, essentially, unless you decide to move to Singapore or somewhere else. Auckland, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, they're the 4 most important cities for New Zealand. And Auckland is trying to compete, we heard that word before, Auckland is trying to compete with those other 3. It's not just those other 3, of course there's 2 other cities we've got to think about as well, Adelaide and Perth. Okay? Perth has surpassed Auckland now in terms of size, Adelaide is fractionally smaller. Ask, how many people here have thought of setting up their business in Adelaide? Probably no one, right? How many people then, why would you set it up in Auckland? So that's the question. If the question is, why would I want to set up in Adelaide? It's exactly the same question as, why would I want to set up in Auckland? What's Auckland got going for it? It's the same size as Adelaide. It's about as distant from the major parts of Australasia as Adelaide is, and it certainly is as far distant from the rest of the world. So the question is, why set up your firm in Auckland? In particular, why would you set up your head office in Auckland? Why would you set up your skilled high-tech type place in Auckland rather than Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, or perhaps Singapore? Where will skilled people want to live? Do they want to live in Auckland, or do they want to live in one of those other cities that you're presenting? Auckland's just one of many choices. Why would firms servicing those people set up here? But also, and this is really important for Auckland, why would firms who employ less skilled people want to set up in Auckland? Why do we want those firms? Well, we want those firms precisely because of this huge long tail of underachievement in Auckland. We need as many low-tech firms as we have high-tech firms in Auckland. We wish that wasn't true, but it is true, because a large part of Auckland is low-skilled. And if we only cater for high-tech industries, we're not going to soak up those people in well-paid, in decent jobs. The other thing when I talk about Auckland, I go back to 1956 and people who built the Harbour Bridge. People then thought about enlarging Auckland. They talked about bringing in the north part of Auckland, had 26,000 people in those days, now 300,000 people, and they thought strategically about the role of connecting up a much wider environment. This opportunity now has to be done in the same sense, and in that sense, I mean, it has to be thought of as Auckland as part of Bay of Plenty, Waikato and Northland. Thinking about Auckland by itself is not sufficient, in the same way that Auckland Harbour Bridge designers decided that they needed to think how Auckland linked into the rest of its environment. Now, those other areas, the ports, obviously Marsden Point and Tauranga, are they the ports for Auckland? Are the universities in Hamilton, etc., are they part of Auckland? Auckland is primarily an importer and a service city. It's not primarily an exporter city. Should we worry about that? No. If you read Jamie Billich's magnum opus that he just released last year or so on the replenishing the earth, about the spread of the Anglo world, you'll see that large cities like Chicago, Philadelphia, etc., their role is to service the rest of the hinterland. Auckland's key role is to service the rest of New Zealand. We want the head offices that service New Zealand to be located in Auckland, not located in Melbourne. We don't want the people moving to Brisbane, we want them to be located here. Auckland is the only city of size in New Zealand that has to service New Zealand. So which sectors should we be targeting? Well, I'm an economist, I've got no idea which sectors you should be targeting. Planners seem to know those sorts of things. I will say that we need both high value and low value industries, as I've talked about. But there's one other aspect that I want to think about here, and that is when we're looking at Auckland, Auckland is an urban environment, okay? Think urban, don't think rural. When I come to Auckland, I'm still amongst a group of would-be farmers who think that it's really important to have little dairy farms potted around, the odd sheep and things like that. Well, if you think like that, go to New Plymouth, go to Whanganui. This, one point there. This is the most important urban area in New Zealand. And what will make this a fantastic urban area? Well, it's clearly, I'd say fast, clear decision making, very important. And that hasn't happened in Auckland. Fast decision making. Need to be able to expand around the knowledge hubs and the transport hubs. Need affordable land, workable transport, public and private. When I say public, by the way, I don't mean trains. I mean public transport, which may or may not mean trains. And finally, great environment and great environments. And here I think Auckland sells itself so short, it's terrible. This place, I don't want to give you one example, but it's dear to Penny's heart, so she won't cut me off. The Hillary Trail. I love the Waitakere's. I live part-time in the Waitakere's. The Hillary Trail is a brilliant strategic thought. It has been, it is just a complete non-entity. It has, you tramp it and it's almost impossible to walk it even as a good tramper, and certainly it's not something that we're selling to the international side. If you mean to get a good environment here, make it a good environment.